Hello and welcome to this May edition of Bytesize from Bango. My name is Ben, and I'll be your host, and I'm delighted to have a great amount of content ready for you today. So I wanted to start by sharing some great news, actually. So last week from Bango HQ, we released the news that Optimum, which is part of Altice Group, which is another leading US telco operated in the US, have launched with Bango DVM. So they are a brand that has a significant footprint, so 4.5 million customers across 21 states in the US, who are part of fiber, mobile, TV, the whole works. So, and they are using the DVM to support their subscription bundling business. So we're delighted to share that news last week. You can scan the QR code in the top right hand corner here, and you can find out more information about that release. So now moving on to what we've got in store today. So I've invited Graeme to be our expert panelist today. He's going to be talking to us around basically helping partners on board to the DVM, ensuring that there is optimized customer journeys and that they have the best solutions in place for doing their subscription bundling. He is what I like to call one of the guiding hands that we have in Bango, one of the experts in this area for both new and existing partners. So today we're going to be talking around the topic of migrating existing subscribers from direct to consumer to resellers. Now, welcome, Graeme. How are you getting on today?
Yeah, hi. Thanks, Ben. Really good today. Really happy, and this is a great topic for what to talk to because it comes up quite often. So yeah, really looking forward to getting into it.
Let's dig into the content then. So I want to just start off with just a little bit of information around the digital vending machine. So this is the world's first all-in-one technology for super bundling, allowing any business to build and launch a state-of-the-art subscriptions hub. So we work with both resellers on one side, which could be a telco, a bank, a ISP, helping them basically diversify their first party product by bundling subscriptions, which is on the other side, the content providers. And that's basically allows them to distribute their products and services through a wide array of resellers. And we sit right in that middle as that ecosystem, making sure that all happens efficiently and effectively. So I wanted to also start around, obviously, in the topic of subscriptions, right? So subscriptions are growing and growing. You've seen the stats probably in latest news. So that I think the latest prediction is $1 trillion of market value by 2028. And with this, obviously, there is a whole wide array of different subscription services out there. So anything from streaming, music, lifestyle, health and fitness. And what comes with that kind of wide array of different subscription services is this challenge now around the mismanagement of these services. So if you've got 5, 7 different subscription services all coming out at different times of the month, it becomes quite a bit of a headache and causes this kind of frustration situation. We actually done some research in the US back in March that looked into this into a bit more detail. And you can actually scan again the QR code in the top right hand corner to download this report to see more information. So these are the three that I picked out here in particular from the report. So 39% have said that they are finding it hard to keep track of where and how they sign up to their subscriptions. Now, they could be coming from a variety of different ways. It could be direct to consumer. It could be through different channels that are available. It could be on the back of like a crisp packet as one thing, as like a voucher. And this kind of idea of trying to understand whereabouts they're all coming from is causing this kind of frustration and headache. Another one there that I've put in there around about knowing how much they're spending as well on subscriptions. So 32% and they don't know how much they're spending on a monthly basis. It's quite a sizable amount of people that are having this issue. And the final one there I've put on there as well is actually paying for subscriptions that you're not even using. We coined this term of vampire subscriptions in our report because this is just something that you're paying for something, you're not even using it, and it's even worse for the younger demographic, which they're nearly 50% have shared that they are in this situation. So what this is leading to is this desire bring all those subscriptions into one place, basically having this flexibility and control over that ecosystem. And to solve this, 2/3 of subscribers want this one single platform to manage them all. And this functionality of bringing all those subscriptions into one place is something we call super bundling. And we also asked, interestingly, in this same report, we asked around the comparison to this old school cable bundle, so that kind of get what you're given attitude of bringing multiple different things into one place as a bundle, comparatively to a la carte pick and choose kind of methodology. And it's quite apparent that pick and choose is definitely the avenue that we're going to look at here. So that is something that is very important for the subscribers based in the US that we surveyed. And this is actually a global picture as well. We've done multiple of these surveys, and you can find them all at bango.com/resources. So let's get into the content for today. So we're talking around about bundled offers. So what is a bundled offer? So this is where a reseller is promoting a new deal that's going to combine their first-party services. It could be a mobile plan, it could be a broadband package, it could even be like a premier tier in a banking subscription. So, for example, like Revolut have a Revolut Ultra plan, where they have a number of different bundle subscriptions all in that one package, in that one price. There's some examples there that you can see on screen of ones that exist in the market right now. So you've got the NetMax bundle there, which is with ads, which is a Verizon special over in the States, and a few other different ones in there that I'm showing on screen as well. So, Graeme, this is where I'm going to bring you in. You have had an experience, haven't you, of basically signing up to Netflix through your EE plan. Do you want to share a little bit more of information on this one for us?
Yeah, so obviously when you asked if I could attend and speak on this topic, this actually become a really great time because the football season's just ended. As part of my EE plan, I have a selection of different subscriptions I can pick and choose from. So I ended my subscription for football and I chose to take out Netflix to show how easy this process can be. So, I mean, you can see, 4 simple steps. Logged in to my EE account, went to my extras, chose activate now on Netflix. This took me through to the Netflix page where I input my email address, put in my password, and then the next screen, we're almost done. It says my Netflix will now be included on my EE bill. It'll no longer be billed to my Visa. And you can see there, it's telling me what card I was paying on just to make sure. And then final confirmation will be billed to my account with EE. I click accept and watch now. Once I click that accept, I was navigated into Netflix, and it was 30 seconds. Most of that time was probably spent by trying to remember my own password. The great thing here is it was so easy, and by doing this, it means it's valuable to me. I get to just switch, I can pick it up, and because I already had an EE account, Netflix have allowed me. Sorry, I already had my Netflix account, which I'm linking to EE. Netflix allowed me to keep everything I already had, so I didn't lose anything. And now that is one of the key features we want to talk about. The ability to switch, and the providers who are doing this and doing this well. And so
this is a great example, right, of a good happy path, as we like to call it. Do you want to tell us a little bit more around that good path?
So the good path is, as we kind of just talked through, it's where I'm paying directly with the subscription service. I find a deal, an offer, or a bundle or super bundle with a reseller, and I want to go with that. Now, in this instance, it was very easy. I get to keep my profiles, my watch list. I use the same email, and there are many of the content providers who are working with this. We've got a couple of examples on screen showing the different ways that this is offered. And these content providers are, they're looking at what the customer wants, and they're putting the customer's desire, the customer's wants first, and it makes them an ideal partner for bundling.
So, would you say that this is a kind of like a common use case? This good happy path.
Unfortunately, not. It's not the most common use case. What we tend to find is the customers get blocked and then we have that sort of this bad navigation where the customer is blocked. Now, that limits what the customer is asking for, because for many reasons, the choice is decided that the customer can't take that deal, that offer, the bundle they've found. And we've got a selection of screenshots here. And the partners where switching payment isn't allowed have many different messages. So we've got some where it's very clear what's happening. The email address you've entered, it's already enrolled in a subscription. Perfect. It tells me what's going on. We have another, go and manage your account setup. So it's kind of saying you have something you need to do if you want to take this offer. And then we sort of get into the worst scenarios. It's failed. You're not eligible for this offer. Well, I've just took out the offer from my provider, my reseller, so I should be eligible. And then that sort of the really worst or baddest option of we cannot create your account. Try again later. Well, it's not very helpful to the customer. It's very misleading. They get there and it doesn't tell them why. So it says try again later. That customer is going to effectively try again later because that's what the message is saying. Once they keep seeing this error, they're going to either go to the content provider or their reseller, contacting them in some way and saying, look, I keep getting the same error. I can't activate.
So I guess this would kind of lead to more frustration for customers, right? Because they're not getting the right information they need to really make an informed action and gain the access that they need to.
Yeah, as you can see, some of them are just very non-descriptive errors. Some of them, it is clear that they try and tell the customer, you can't take this because of why. And unfortunately, if the customers are being blocked, it's not ideal when it comes to bundling. It wouldn't be a prime choice to bundle with as a reseller if the customers are then going to get blocked if they already have an existing account.
Right. So we've seen the good, we've seen the bad. I guess there's one more, isn't there?
There is, unfortunately, there are the ugly, these alternative options which some content providers have taken. Now, the first one we have here, it's dual billing. This scenario, the content providers looked at what the customer wants. They've said, right, the customer's trying to sign up with the same existing account, which in a roundabout way, they've tried to give the customer what they want. The customer's trying to take this deal, this offer, bundle, whatever they've found. But instead of being able to switch their payment method, in this scenario, they add a payment method. So for the one email, they keep them profiles, but now they're paying the content provider and they're going to pay the reseller. So in the attempt to find something or some way of managing their subscriptions better, the customer's now worse off and they're being charged twice. That's, it's not great by any stretch of the imagination. It's a very ugly way of managing that customer and the customer's expectation. And very quickly, that customer is going to raise a complaint. They're going to have to take some action to do something. And it's also a bit damaging for the content provider's reputation that the customer is going to see that and say, well, not only were you happy to take my money, you were happy to take it twice.
Not a good book, is it really, when that happens?
Yeah. We have also had one content provider who took a totally separate stance of they didn't allow you to switch, but the way they did this was even if you had an account with them, either directly or via a reseller, and you'd close that account, if you ever came back and tried to reactivate it through a different reseller or a different sales channel, they would block you. And the only way as a customer you could sign up would be to use a brand new email address. So you don't get the profiles that you've created previously. It may have been a month since you left. And not many people are running around with multiple emails. I know, my parents, they certainly don't have multiple emails, and they tend to use the same email for everything that they have. So in this scenario, they would not be able to sign up.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just the young. Obviously, the old are impacted. But yeah, this is such a bad thing for a customer.
Yeah, that inability or that inflexibility really is going to end up being, a negative effect towards that brand, right? So
It is.
and we want to be, and we'll talk about this a little bit more now when we're going to, in the next slide, we're going to talk about this opportunity where we've had this conversation with, we're probably one of these bad paths. I wouldn't say it's an ugly path, but it was a bad path. And they had a challenge, right, didn't they, of this, where they had a redemption activation flow that just was long-winded, right? And it had loops that were in there that were probably not unnecessary. And we went through that kind of process of kind of being that kind of consultant kind of approach, right? Of giving that guiding hand, that expertise, and basically got to a point where the customer experience was vastly improved. And also it meant that the development work that was needed from a reseller was pretty much next to nothing. So do you want to talk to us a little bit about that example, Graeme? It's great.
Yeah,
It's great
happily actually, because I think it's a great example of using the knowledge Bango have from developing the DVM and also working with multiple content providers. So what we had is a content provider came to us. They had no problem with their management of customers who were brand new. They were wanting to support how to switch a customer. So it would start, you go to your reseller, and the customers would find the offer they wanted. So they click get offer. They'd then be redirected to the content provider's webpage where they'd have to sign in and allow access to their account for the new the new reseller. And then the next page they would see would be a reseller hosted error page that the content provider was asking the reseller to host. So they would send sort of a rejection message through the DVM back to the reseller, and then the reseller was being asked to host this page, which would say, "Oh, it looks like the account you're using is already a member. Please go to this website to take some action." So the customers went to from start at the reseller, they've went to the content provider, they then end up back at the reseller seeing an error message. They then asked to go to another web page, which that final web page would say, "Okay, you now have this is your existing plan. This is the new plan you want to take out. Do you want to cancel your existing to take out the new?" Customer then had the option of allowing or not allowing that. And then if they allow it, they get asked, "Okay, return to the reseller." And then finally, they go back to the reseller. They get asked to log in again. And then finally, they get told, "Your plan's active." It was such a long-winded journey, and for a customer, you're seeing error messages. There was redirections happening where they're being told, "Oh, well, you're going to have to cancel what you have." For resellers, it did not fit with how Bango, the DVM, had already integrated them. As you said, there was a lot of development work which would be needed because there was additional pages they had to host and different redirections. And from a customer, it's not a good journey.
Steps,
So
8, 9
they
steps. Is
asked,
that 8, 9 steps?
it's something like that. Yeah, it's close to 8 steps. Obviously, once you click, you decide, do you want to proceed? Then you proceed. Then you go back to the reseller. So depending on how the resellers set up their web page for you being able to get back and you've already chosen the offer. So can you just activate it, or do you need to take some additional steps? It could be quite lengthy, and some customers may choose to drop out of that because they're seeing error messages, they're being passed sort of pillar to post before they can even do this. Now, we as Bango, helping the content provider, we talked through what their flow they wanted, as we've just sort of walked through, and we provided some insights into, there may be better ways of doing this. There certainly are different ways of doing it in the market. The content provider was very strict that they wanted to at least ask the customer, do they want to switch from their old plan to the new plan, which is, it's fine, it makes sense. I'd probably say about 95% of customers who've just took out that deal or bundle are wanting to make the change anyways because they've just chosen to do that. And so they came back to us with a new plan. So the new plan worked more like this. You start your reseller, you find the offer you wanted to take, and you say, get offer. They would then be redirected to the content partner's website. They could log in, and instead of redirections and error messages, they're now just showing a screen saying, you have this plan. Do you want to take the new plan? And it's not a cancel and resubscribe flow. It's just a change to the existing. The customer clicks allow, and they get to great, you're active on the new plan. It's a much better flow for a customer. And this provider, they're now actually really great to bundle with because the journey fits in to the DVM so well. There's no extra work that the resellers are needing to do just to support this one partner. So yeah, it's a much more optimum journey. And I think we've seen since this change was implemented, that content provider grow through Bango and take on a lot of additional subscriptions.
Awesome. Yeah, I think it's a great example to run through, and something that is definitely worth sharing in this type of forum, because it's if there's people on the call right now that are part of a content provider who are having this inner dialogue at the moment around, well, what do I do about existing? I don't want to impact that. I don't want to affect our customers that we've already got. So this is just really, it kind of highlights that we have that flexibility within the DVM to allow for this, to really get you moving from that bad and sometimes ugly path to that good path, that good and happy path, where it's very similar to this. It's a simple, easy flow for a customer. Always thinking about the customer at heart.
Yeah.
So yeah, just to summarize, so the DVM is this full end-to-end subscription bundling ecosystem. We have a number of different elements that are in there that are all feeding to this. And when we're talking about this one particular topic around migration of existing subscribers, so subscribers are wanting this more. They want more flexibility. They want more control. This is what the data is showing us globally, and also on the other side, the resellers and the content providers, they want a customer first approach, especially around around bundling. And where we are in this unique position of sitting in between those two parties, we've seen everything. We've seen all these different varieties and flavors and nuances that exist with all different content providers and how they go about doing their business around bundling. So using Bango to be that kind of guiding hand, that expertise within the market is a great choice for you guys to consider. Graeme, thank you very much for joining. I really do appreciate your time and effort on this. I'm sure I'll have a little look if there's been any questions in the chat. There's nothing there at the moment from the chat that I can see. But yeah, so we'll wrap it up there and say thank you very much, Graeme, for your time. For anyone else that's still listening on the call, we've got a fantastic report that is imminently coming. So we're looking at a launch date around middle June, I think 11th of June, if I recall rightly. The QR code in the top right will give you access to the reserve report page. This report is going to be a special one. So we've interviewed subscription executives, 201 based in US and the UK, and we're looking at the basically the acquisition tactics that they've got currently, looking at direct to consumer versus the indirect channel, and the whole wide range of different questions that are in there, looking at acquisition and the cost of acquisition. So it's a really interesting report that I do urge you to get your hands on. I'm sure once it comes out, you'll see it all on our LinkedIn channels. There'll be a variety of different ways that you'll see. We'll probably do one of these bite sizes about it as well. I think it will be one of the things later in the year. But anyway, that's enough from me. Thank you very much again for joining, Graeme. Thank you for watching, and we hope you all have a great day, rest of the day. Thank you very much.